A great, big, warm welcome to all of you. I have to tell you, when I woke up this morning, I woke up with a great big smile. My husband leaned over and he said, "You love this work, don't you?" Ladies and gentlemen, I love this work because I get to rub shoulders with people who are practicing success. And I get to work with universities who understand what success is. I want to welcome the staff and the administration. I want to welcome the community. And I want to give a huge shout out to the graduates of 2020. Those of you who are in the audience that are graduating today, I'd like you to take just a tiny second and close your eyes. And I want you to say to yourself quietly, "I did it." Before this moment passes and it becomes a memory, I would like you to try that again tonight when no one is around. I want you to remember the successes that you have found. And I want you to quietly thank your university for having the philosophies that allowed you to be successful. You know, Mark Twain once said that he never allowed his schooling to get in the way of his education. I believe that Western Governors University does that for you. Ladies and gentlemen, their philosophy is strong. It is the same that I teach my own university students who are preparing to teach teachers. I say to them in the very first classroom management class, ladies and gentlemen, meet your students where they are. Give them your personal self and be flexible every chance you get. Ladies and gentlemen, you are a whole lot smarter than I am. You chose a university who cares. The most important thing that I read about you that really made my heart happy is that at the beginning of your journey, you receive your very own mentor. Why is that important to me? Because I've spent my entire adulthood teaching superintendents, principals, teachers, and business leaders the power of investing in your community. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to base my remarks today on the power that you have to mentor in your own communities. When I was really young, I was floundering in college, trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I have to tell you, I have this really powerful mother who has an opinion about everything. So one day she pulled me aside when my very sweet husband wasn't looking, and she said, "Two things, darling, I would like to tell you. Stacey, you will always be happy if you choose a degree that will allow you to lift a child, inspire a family, and help a community." And then she said something that's caused me to laugh for 40 years. "Darling, what I'd like to see you do, because you married very young, is get a degree in a profession that you can use in case you ever want to leave your husband, Greg." It's okay for you to laugh. I have laughed for 40 years. And when Greg is not happy with that, it makes me laugh even harder. The truth is, Mother wanted her daughter to learn the value of her own success and her own happiness. Today, your degree has given you that incredible success. And your challenge will be to deepen your happiness through reaching out to other people. Well, I got the degree in elementary ed mostly to humor my mother. I went to the Salt Lake City School District the day that I graduated, and I handed my paperwork to Elsie. Elsie explained to me just what Mother said. She said, "Honey, we are not hiring right now, but in the spring we'll take a good look at you. I can see that you're very young. Did you just finish?" I said, "Yes, I did." But inside my heart, I was thinking, "Oh, I'm so glad you didn't offer me a job today, because I kind of want to go home and be a mom for a while." Just as I was going to escape from the great big glass doors, I heard a loud male voice yell my name. "Miss Stacey, turn around." I turned around to look at Dr. Manning, who was standing underneath his doorway, and Dr. Manning said, "I have a minute, let's talk." We talked for a few moments, and then we shook hands. He promised me in the spring he would take a good look at me, and I attempted to escape out of his office. But as I placed my hand on the knob of the door, this gentleman changed my life forever. He said, "Sit down. I am about to offer you a job. It isn't available, but I know it will be after Christmas break. Miss Stacey, I would like for you to operate a school that is underneath the 6 South Bridge. It is a school for the homeless, and it is the only of its kind in the entire country." I went home that night and I cried and cried and cried. And at 2:43 a.m., I sat up in my bed and I said out loud, "Oh, please, please don't make me take this job." After about 3 nights of sleeplessness, I got out of bed and I walked into my living room where it was really dark. And I sat on the couch and I leaned my knees against the coffee table and I held my head in my hands. And I said out loud, "Why me?" And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to never forget what thought came into my heart. Why not you? You have had a lifetime of trials and triumphs. Use them. You will be great. I taught school at the school with no name in the 6 South Bridge under the 6 South Bridge Viaduct for 11 years. One day, I had 2 beautiful little students walk to the bottom of the stairs to my classroom. Knowing full well they would not make eye contact with me and they surely wouldn't reach out to take my hand, I motioned my hand up to say, "Come on, boys, I'm your new teacher." 9-year-old Alex and 13-year-old Anthony looked at me briefly and then appeared to not be interested in a word I said until I felt little Alex's hand in mine. Alex pulled his body right in front of me, looked me right in the eyes, and he said, "Wow, you are the cutest teacher I've ever had." Brother Anthony was humiliated, so we got right to the door as quickly as we could so Anthony wouldn't hit Alex. And Alex gave me one more bit of advice. "Miss Stacey, I like you. But Miss Stacey, I should tell you the truth about something. I have been kicked out of every school I've ever been in. And I will tell you it's because I have a problem with rules. You know, rules about how not to be a kid." He said, "Everybody tells me to be quiet." And then he said, "Miss Stacey, do you like to talk?" "I do like to talk, Alex," I said. "Of course I do. I'm a teacher." And then I gained the most important wisdom I've ever gained from a child. Miss Stacey, if you grown-ups would listen more, you would learn more. Oh, how right he was. As I watched him interact with his peers, my heart was happy that he was calm. Until one day I noticed he was over at the food cupboard, placing food up his sleeves and around his waist. He asked me if he could go get a Tylenol from his bedroom as quickly as possible. He did that 4 or 5 days in a row, and at the end of the 5th day, I thought, "What are you doing, child?" Until his father approached me and said, "Miss Stacey, help me. Alex is compiling food in a wall around his bed. And I think it's because his older brother is punching him in the morning to get him up in the morning." That morning, I pulled Alex to my side and said, "Alex, I am here. I will help you. Every morning, if you will stand next to me, I'll run my fingers up and down your back until you slow down. And yes, I will chat with your brother." I then promised him that at the end of 2 weeks, I would give him the grand prize if he could hold it together. At the end of 2 weeks, he pounded on my desk and he said, "Teacher, I did it. I am so ready for the grand prize." Miss Stacey, if anybody can pull this off, you can. "Miss Stacey, do you know who Karl Malone is?" I said, "Oh yes, honey, I do, but I don't know him. I know he's a very famous basketball player for the Utah Jazz." "Good. I want to meet him," he said. Well, I went home that night and I called my friend Judy and she said, "You're a fool, you'll never get him there." But she said, "I'll have a friend write a letter." Within 3 days, Mr. Malone and I were looking at each other from the far side of the lobby, away from each other. Alex was holding hands with me, and Alex looked over at me and he said, "Teacher, stop shaking right now and walk over to him. He is a regular man." I walked over to Mr. Malone and I put my hand up, which was equal to his belly button and my nose. And so in my heart I thought, "You're not a regular man. And I began. Mr. Malone, you have no idea the impact you are going to make today. The truth was, I had no idea. You see, Mr. Malone and I had been in different events together keynoting, and I knew that he gave an important speech about how important school is. I asked him to spend 7 minutes on that speech. When he looked down, put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, Miss Stacey, I have followed your career for a long time. Please do not hold me to a stay in school speech. I did not come here today to hide behind my uniform. I came here today to be Uncle Carl, not the all-star basketball player. I followed Mr. Malone to the top of the stairs, and I leaned against the bookcases, and I watched all 6'9" of Carl Malone plop himself down on the floor and lean against the bookcase. All 25 students climbed all over his body. They measured his toes, they measured his feet, they laughed and they cried as he left. He did stop for a moment to say to me, Miss Stacey, do you always cry like this? Ladies and gentlemen, I only cry like this when I'm learning life's most important lessons. Do not hide behind your credentials. You and I have found success in the degrees that we have received, but we are not remembered by those degrees. They allow us to get our foot in that door. We are remembered by the use of our hands lifting up the children in your communities and the families. And we are remembered by using our hearts. Graduates, today, I challenge you to step into your communities with success and deeper happiness in investing in a family in your community. Congratulations, you are remarkable. Thank you.